Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 504, being recorded on June 20th, 2018. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hallstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Ken Addison.
Alan Malventano still fired. He hasn't come crawling back, offering to work for half as much money or anything, but I'm holding out hope one day that'll happen.
It's annoying to have to cross the picket line every day coming in here.
It's just a bunch of little Allens pacing back and forth out front.
It's just a line of hard drives like dominoes. It's weird.
You just step over the boxes and walk in. Yeah, it is. It can be a little awkward. So where am I at here? Oh, I'm looking on the wrong section here. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a podcast here
that we're super prepared for.
Always very prepared. A lot of stuff that we talk about. I don't know. Look, it's computer hardware. We're going to talk about that. There's not a whole lot that happened this week, to be fair. It's going to be a lot of the Jeremy show. And I'm fine with that. But before we get into that, let's go over some of the logistics. PCPer.com. It's the best website in the world. You should go there and read all the things that we post. Also, PCPer.com/podcast is where this is posted. It's probably where you're watching it at. And we do record the show live on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at PCPer.com/live. And if you need a little reminder about that, we have a chat room. You can come hang out before and after. We do pre-show, post-show kind of banter. At PCPer.com/subscribe, you get this page here. It's your name, email address. That's all we need from you. And we'll send you notification about these live events. And we sometimes do, occasionally, more frequently, sometimes here than others, have third-party in here, right? Like as we did this week, we'll talk about in a second. AMD was here. We had a contest. We did a live stream. If you missed out on that, well, you missed out on that. But we have the replay for you. But the prizes are already they're already spoken for. Wow. We still have our Patreon campaign going. That is at patreon.com/PCPer. And this is your place where if you want to become a regular contributing member to us from a financial standpoint, you can do that. Like it can be, we have these different levels here of 3, 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, but you can do $1 a month. You can do $100 a month, anything you want. It's all appreciated and welcomed. And this allows us to, continue to pay people and do things and try to be more creative. The mailbag that we do as a result of this, and it's fun, and as I always refer to the picture of Josh here in the bathtub. I'm glad we don't have a newer, updated one of this, to be honest.
Because I've gained like 100 pounds, and that robe wouldn't fit me anymore. And okay, I haven't really gained that much, but
at least you got your pants on in it, so I still really appreciate that. So again, and that's like if you run an ad blocker, which whatever, guys, I think they take about 40% of the traffic away from our ad viewing inventory on a daily basis. So that kind of stinks. But if you do that, it's like, hey, you know what? I like the podcast. We like the reviews. Here's $3 a month. Boom, $3 a month gets you access to seeing the post show video. We send that to the Patreon members. So like if you download this, you don't watch it live, so you want to see whatever, sometimes funny, sometimes really not funny things that we talk about after the show. You can do that way. And as of course, if you become a new patron and or increase your patronage during the show, I will give you a shout out on said show. Nothing yet, so we'll move on. We do the mailbag, PCPer Mailbag as it is. We had our 47th episode this past week.
Almost a year.
Creeping up on that 50 mark and that year mark. Yep. We answered 52. Such questions as about the 8086K, gaming chairs, RAM failure, hardware fixes for Spectre meltdown, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's Josh and sometimes it's Alan. So if you have a question, you can leave them in the comments of this page here, and it's another way where we try to create some more interesting and unique comments and contents for you guys. We also did our let's see, what did I have that in the wrong order? There it is. Yeah. We have our merch store here at JoshTech.com, JoshTekk.com is the website for this. You can get your Death Wish Raid t-shirt, your hot dog down a hallway t-shirt, for those of you who remember that reference. Super Pipe as well. You got your classic PCPer logo tee here. Never goes out of style. Always the best color. We have mugs, PC Perspective mugs, the Josh Tech mug, the Josh Tech print. And so you can clearly see the resemblance here between Josh Tech. I don't even know which one's the real one. If you had a steering wheel in your hand, it would be.
That's a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Actually.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's gonna hang up in the back behind the by the F4.
Josh Tech print as it is can be yours in navy blue or a gray.
I had to do it. My wife was very impressed.
Yeah, does she think you're famous now?
Yes, it's bizarre.
It's odd that would be the thing that now she's finally understands what it is you do every week on this show, right?
Yeah, people send me art.
People make art of me, and then I pay to have it printed out and hang on my wall.
So close, so close.
Oh, man. As I mentioned before, we did have another live stream this week. Yesterday, actually, as we record this on Tuesday. AMD was in town, and we talked about FreeSync 2. It's actually now called FreeSync 2 HDR. There should actually be a space between those two things, but we'll let it slide for now. Oh, no. Yeah, well, it happens. World exclusive. They announced that FreeSync 2 is going to be called FreeSync 2 HDR. World exclusive. They announced that FreeSync 2 HDR was now going to follow and track with the Display HDR 600 standard, right?
Yeah.
So that or above in order to be a FreeSync 2 HDR monitor. And also world exclusive, you can see an early peek at a new demo that AMD's content team wrote to demonstrate variable refresh, HDR. They're going to freely distribute it so that you can...
It's a really cool demo. It's one of the better demos I've seen in the past couple of years.
Yeah, it looks really good. You know what? He deleted that off of our system.
He did.
He deleted it off our system. Usually we can convince people to leave that behind. We won't do anything with it, just so we can mess around and see it. We never got to use it on an actual HDR panel.
We used it on the TV last night.
Oh, I must have been in the bathroom or something during that. I don't know. But I didn't see it. But if you missed the stream, you can see the replay. If you go to PCPer.com, look for the PCPer Live. AMD joins us to talk about FreeSync for HDR, or you can go to the YouTube channel and you'll see a replay there. Has some Q&A in there. I think some really good, interesting information about FreeSync and kind of what its future and direction looks like. So now, with that out of the way, let's talk about this other stuff that happened. Oh, wait, hold on. We got our patron emails in. We have a new pledge who went from $1 to $3. Thank you very much to Terry Corker.
Nice.
Appreciate that increase. That's 3x the donation that he was making before. I love it. And we have
Isn't that incredible?
It is. We have a new $3 patron as well from Joel Luthi. Joel Luthi. Thank you so much, Joel. We greatly appreciate that. Any and everybody who is a patron, we think it's awesome, and we thank you so much for your support of this very podcast and show. Now we'll get on to the content, starting with this Gigabyte X299 Designare EX motherboard review. So this is an X299 board, meaning it is Intel's Skylake X platform, also kind of Kaby Lake X. You know, if you can still buy those parts, right? I think you can still technically buy them.
I'm not sure
still
every X299 motherboard supports Kaby Lake X or not, because having messed with Kaby Lake X for the first time recently, which is odd. Just the memory channels and everything's weird.
Yeah. This is kind of a new. I don't want to say new, but it's one of the first times we've looked at a Gigabyte board from the Designare portfolio. It's more of a. There's RGBs on here. We can't get past the fact that there are RGB lights, but how would you describe this? It's more
workstation.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a refined design. Yeah. It's not crazy gamer LEDs, although you could probably make them flashing and all kinds of different things if you really want to. Now it's an expensive board too. It's about a $500 motherboard. And that's not terribly uncommon in the X299 world. You can find X299 world. There's an ASUS board, and I think there's an MSI board as well. That's kind of in that price range.
The higher end.
Yeah, it's got a back base plate on it, aka armor, which I think is pretty neat. I think it looks good. It's got, server class power design, server level chokes. Again, take that for what you will. You can read some of the technical specifications that differ with that. Of course, lighting. I told you it was RGB here, guys. You could still RGB the F out of this stuff. And
that looks like easy to use software.
What is it doing?
Mode B. Let's see. Smart headphone amp, Josh. You might appreciate this. High impedance headphones are supported. Big audio caps as well.
Look at the size of those caps.
Yeah, there they go.
Big audio caps, kind of like Big Audio Dynamite, except not as catchy.
Yep. So
sure.
So this motherboard has.
Are there 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports?
Yes. No. Well. USB 3.1 Type-C has the logo. You also have DisplayPort in, 2 DisplayPort in.
Oh,
ports.
that's for pass-through. So
it's for pass-through of Thunderbolt.
Wow.
So it does support Thunderbolt, 2 10 gigabit Thunderbolts on here, and it has the DisplayPort in so that if you, what is that for? You take display out of your graphics card into the DisplayPort in on the motherboard, and then now you can use DisplayPort.
Well, it's like if you're using the LG 5K display monitor, which is technically only a Thunderbolt monitor. So you need to pass both through the same connection.
Got it. So it's got some nice features on it. 802.11.
It has a PS2 port too.
It does.
It does. That's what makes it server class.
That's right. Support for legacy input devices. It does have wireless 802.11 AC. And you can see there some of the details on its storage interfaces. 1 M.2, 2 M.2s, 3 M.2s.
Did I hear 4 M.2s?
No, just 3. Okay. We stop at 3. Just 3. So a lot of cool stuff goes into this. Maury does a good job on these reviews. Let's see. Those were the PR photos. What's it look like in real life?
I like the logo, the Designare logo. If you scroll up on the box, that's cool.
Yeah. Is it on
different?
It's kind of like faceted thing. It's on the chipset cooler. Okay. Yeah. I think they did a good job on this, right? You can debate the value or benefit of kind of that rear plate armor type stuff that they have on there, but it definitely looks neat. It's protective of the PCB, I think, clearly.
Protective your hands when you pick it up. You don't get poked by the solder points on the back.
This board does have 8 DIMM slots. Not all X299 boards have that. Some of them have been moving to 4 just from spacing limitations. 2 8-pin auxiliary power connectors for the processor. So a lot of beefy upgrades on this particular board. Yeah, there's that chipset for you. Oh, there. Okay, that's why the third M.2 is hidden, because it's designed to look like it's part of that chipset cooler, but it's actually separate on there. That's pretty neat. Actually, lots of SATA ports, no sex ports as we call them. Looks like that might be SATA Express seeing the end of the line there.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean they made so many products for it.
Exactly.
A lot of motherboards.
So this is again it's Skylake X, so 7900 series. Is it all 7900? Yeah. All the way up to the 18 core 7980 XE processor available here. What did Maury get on his overclock? He has a 7900X, I believe, was able to get CPU to 4.7 gigahertz on all cores, which is pretty good. And even though it has an MSRP of $500, it's $432 on Amazon and Newegg when he wrote this piece. So, it's practically a steal.
I mean, with the Thunderbolt, like the Thunderbolt 3 add-in card from ASUS GIGABYTE, somewhere north of $50, I think. So if you need Thunderbolt 3 for some odd particular reason on your desktop, like
you can have that 5K display,
you can have the monitor pass through. Yeah. I mean, there's not even a handful of monitors handful of motherboards that actually support that.
I would agree with that. Yeah. It did get an Editor's Choice Award for Maury here, so that's a good sign. Weaknesses included that CMOS battery placement.
Damn it!
I know.
Did you notice where it was?
No, where was it?
It's hidden underneath that M.2 heat shield, right by the PCI Express slot.
These guys should know better. They should know better.
He's only written that about 700 times in our reviews. So, hey, look what we're getting an ad for over here. Do you see that, Alex?
I know nothing.
I wonder why we're getting those ads on our network. So check out the review again. That's the Gigabyte X299 Designare EX motherboard, an impressive piece of hardware from Gigabyte. And also from Sebastian, we have a review of the SilverStone Redline series, the RL07 tempered glass case. This just went up today. I kind of like the night shot, I guess. The dark room shot.
No, he had to take it at night.
is pretty good.
His house is made of windows.
He can't afford curtains because he spent it all on audio gear.
That's true. That's true. It's got an interesting design, right? So, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. It is a square normal chassis with kind of a different design put on the front of it, right? Like a lot of cases.
It's like the robot from Interstellar.
I
walking one.
That.
Remember when walking? Board?
Okay.
Yeah.
Jax or something. What was it called?
Yep.
I don't know. Who cares?
So, in full daylight without the lights, it looks okay. It doesn't look particularly stunning, but it does have that tempered glass panel on there, which obviously adds a lot to it. From the front, depending on your lighting, it might not look like anything in particular.
Where does the optical drive go?
Well, you cut a hole in the tempered glass and just kind of shove it in there.
Hey Josh, I heard a rumor today. You ready for this? As I scroll through these pictures, one of the items being tariffed at 25% is optical drive readers.
Buy.
Starting July 6th.
Wow, so they're not going to be $19 anymore.
They're going to be.
I think there's probably still going to be some
26
stock in the U.S. to get through.
Just a little.
So keep that in mind if you're looking to buy optical drives. Maybe buy now or something. So here you can see
later.
The layout of the case, standard ATX designs. You got your cable pass through, for cleanliness, if you will. You've got your CPU black plate cut out. Power supply section is in a divided section there. I would say a fairly standard case design. Sebastian thinks it's fairly well built, high quality build. We've got your storage.
Yeah, Silverstone's I've had some of their case. I still got that RVO2 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It is, and that thing is a brick. You can throw it through walls, and it just laughs at you.
I would
tears my fingers off when I try to unscrew things. It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a well-designed case, and you're right. Silverstone is known for that, especially if you look back in their all aluminum. Like what do you call where it's like made out of one piece of aluminum, like molded
billet?
I don't remember the term for it, but
unibody.
Sure, yeah, we'll take that. We'll take the Apple
monocoque.
So good design. I think the style that we showed at the beginning of it, it's going to be, do you like it or do you not? Fairly quiet on terms of noise level, a little bit higher on temperatures than some of the other cases that Sebastian has looked at recently. But look at that light. Look at that photography work.
Ominous.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty
ominous.
good.
Yeah. Ominous.
Luminous.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because they got rid of all that junk in the front of the case on the inside of it. And
yeah,
it runs hot. Is that just because of the small inlet on the front?
I mean, probably. So it looked like it was taking a lot of air in from the sides of that front case. And yeah, that's not nearly as efficient as having, some mesh fan grill on the front. Sebastian also noted that at $110, it's putting itself into some higher end competition as well, for better performance, as you're noting there, Alex. So it does have, I think, a cool vibe with the light and kind of the design there. But check out the review and look at any of the other ones that Sebastian has written up many of on the website over the last, dozens of years. Before we move on, we do have another patron. This is a new one, a new $20 patron.
Holy cow.
From Jeff Breyer. Thank you very much, Jeff, for your support. $20. Awesome. I hope Josh can live up to
give him the shocker he deserves a double shocker.
No,
probably not.
That's a very personal thing between him and whoever his most intimate partner is. Yeah. That was not in any of the documentation from the Patreon campaign, is what I'm saying, Josh.
You'll receive one shocker
at a moment of our choosing.
You're gonna have to pay way more for that.
So as we get into the first news item, I do want to point out, can you bring up this thing here? I don't know. Bring up the so here. You can't really see the whole ad. You see
that's just text.
This EVGA ad? It's all text. And we had a discussion about this today. And like, hey, we want to update the banners. It's like, I mean, we can do whatever you want, right? Like, yeah, I'll put this up there. How effective do you think that's going to be?
Nope.
I predict higher than expected click-through rates on that.
Because you never see it?
Because you never see that, right? It's not flashing. It's not whatever. It's just like, hey, what is this? And you might actually read it and go, okay, sure. And give it a click-a-roo. I'm not imploring you on the podcast listeners, viewers to do that.
I'm
but if you wanted to.
But if you wanted
click
to.
early, click often.
That's fine. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, we've got some interesting stuff to run through here, and it's going to be a lot of the Jeremy show. We're going to start with this one, though. Steam is going Windows 7 and up. Valve has announced that Steam Client has deprecated Windows XP and Windows Vista. Is anybody else...
No more 16-bit OSs?
I mean, to be fair, it's only been a couple of years since we installed Steam on Windows XP when we unboxed that Voodoo 5.
That's true. Yeah.
We had to put together an older system.
If somebody had told me, Steam ditched Windows XP a couple of years back, I would not argue with that.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I'd be like, yeah, well, duh, of course they would do that thing. Jeremy, Josh, any thoughts on this? Is this, as Scott and rightfully points out, like 32-bit Windows XP was currently sitting at 0.34% market share. Windows Vista was unlisted. But if you have, legacy games that you wanted to play, and I know this group tends to be a little bit more weighted in that way, taking away this option might kind of suck a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know how
Vista was a pretty OS, though.
Sure, why not?
Sure. Well, at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
My retro gaming system with the K62 Plus running at 550 megahertz on Windows 98 doesn't care about Steam and Steam games from 2003 and beyond.
Sure.
But I've got everything that I run on that on CD and an optical drive.
Yeah. But Steam doesn't only have games that were made after 2003.
Yeah, I know that, but...
And it's an easy distribution.
I've got everything on CD, so why do I care?
Well, if you want to play King's Quest 8 one day and you don't have the CD... Think about it.
I only live in the past, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, so
and
Quest
there's nothing
5.
new in my past.
To me, I feel like
yeah,
just the cool things that you could do, like going into Windows XP and booting up old drives or old systems is kind of disappointing. But
I mean, the chefs really could support whatever. It's fine
from a logistical standpoint and like man-hour standpoint. Again, they said Windows XP was listed as 0.34% and Windows Vista was 0, not even on the list.
It'd be nice if they could make some way to maintain compatibility so it could still connect to the servers. And download stuff?
Yeah, I would like to see that being maybe potential. Hey, we're not updating Steam anymore, but then it's a security issue.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, Steam won't let you connect unless you have the latest client.
True.
For the most part.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Sorry, everybody. And this story was written by Tim, our next story, but it really, I think, comes at the heart from our Canadian friend about BlackBerry. Back in the fold, back in the news. Launching a smartphone with a physical ass keyboard. They say it's
a headphone jack.
And a headphone jack, yes.
Everything you look for.
Headphone jack, physical keyboard, BlackBerry brand. This is exactly the phone I used in 2003.
How many years ago did we just time travel?
I'm not convinced that a physical keyboard still isn't a good idea for productivity people on phones. Now
There's a lot of negatives.
I mean, it's basically the negative of screen real estate, right? There's no other negative.
I meant your statement.
Oh,
not convinced there isn't a reason to not have a physical keyboard anymore.
Sure. I think it made sense. What I don't know now is in today's world, would I be able to type faster on a physical smartphone keyboard or a virtual one? You think I'd still be able to type faster?
Yeah, I mean, so the Key One came out last year, I think, maybe end of 2016, and like it has a decent following. There's some people that like phone reviewers that actually liked that phone a decent amount. There's some issues like you're probably not going to see a lot of Android updates coming from BlackBerry. Like they're not a quote unquote top tier manufacturer, but the general consensus is going back to that physical keyboard, you still type faster than you do on a touchscreen. It is still a hindrance.
How do you do emojis though?
Okay, Google.
You use the special key. There's a special key on the side that you hit, and you can do.
But it's got to bring up an on-screen keyboard, right?
Probably.
It's got to bring up an on-screen emoji board.
Sure.
Right, essentially.
Yes, you don't have an infinite keyboard. Sorry.
Or, I mean, you could put like a colon and a bracket.
Why don't they just make these physical buttons tiny OLED screens so that when they hit the shift button, it does that.
It does have a symbol key.
Yeah. But yeah. Look, I was a significant detractor to virtual keyboards for a long time.
No, you weren't.
That's why I used the Pre for as long as I did, right?
That's why you kept handing me off the old BlackBerry.
Well, because I thought you could maybe be productive finally with it, right? You know? I tried.
I mean, I did send some nice pictures.
They were very dark. Thank God the cameras there were low detail back in that day. I don't have anything else to say, but I think it's interesting. Is it expensive
is
too?
The issue.
Oh, is it really?
It's flagship phone costs for not very good hardware.
Snapdragon 660, 6 gigs of RAM, 64, 128 gigs of storage, 3,500 milliamp hour battery. That used to be the big thing with BlackBerries as well, was the battery life. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah,
because
it's in 2 days of mixed usage. $650. We'll see.
Costs $650 in the US.
Yeah. Hey, they don't make as many
64 gig, not the 128.
They don't make as many physical keyboards. Turns out they're higher cost now.
Yeah.
It's got all the modern features, Bluetooth 5, 802.11ac, headphone jack, things like that. Oh, was it AC?
Yeah.
802.11ac?
No, you can't make it happen.
I know.
It's serious. It doesn't work.
I don't know. I would love to try it, but I wouldn't pay $650 to try it.
If this was somehow a $350 phone, I think they might compel some people to switch. But there's no reason to buy a BlackBerry Android phone now.
It's a feature phone, Ken. It's just the feature doesn't necessarily align with a lot of people's desires.
I think a lot of people still have the desire for a physical keyboard if it was a practical
an option
thing.
I would take one in a second.
Yeah,
I just don't. The thing is, the Apple that I've got, the I think it's an 8. Yeah, it's wonderful and it shows videos and you can play games on it. It's like I email on it. I've never launched a game. I don't watch video on it.
Yeah,
give me the damn keyboard back because it's a damn work phone and I'm emailing.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm surprised how little content viewing I do on my phone. Like it's scrolling through Reddit, right? Yeah. It's scrolling through Facebook and those types of things, but I'm not watching a full-length movie on my phone. No. And listen to Spotify on headphones. Turns out it doesn't matter what the screen is. I was looking to see, it's a 4.5-inch screen, so it's still a pretty good size screen on that.
It's like you're in the bathroom and all you do is scroll through Twitter. You don't watch Hulu on that damn thing.
Exactly. I don't. But there are some people that do, and I think the younger generation absolutely does. Right? They'll just sit there and that's like their only consumption device. And it's crazy to me.
Yeah, and my child does, and I yell at him. Yeah. Get out of the damn bathroom.
We had that argument with my daughter today at dinner, who is not 3 years old yet, but wants to watch YouTube videos. She likes to watch people unbox toys and play with them, right? And we have this fight every time about, no, it's dinner time. We're putting all this away. She doesn't understand why, right? And they probably won't understand until they're 25 why.
But you're hopeful, aren't you?
Yeah. But so it's a different mentality. I'm with you. My phone is like a work device / I don't know, I'm bored, distract me for 20 minutes until, process X is finished. So yeah, I don't know. I wish them luck, and if they want to send me one to like bang on for a couple of weeks, I would love to try a physical keyboard again. I kind of feel like I would have trouble going back at this point.
Well, and one of the interesting things, and it was a bunch of bloggers that said it, and I didn't see them actually touch the keyboard, which made it something I'm not completely believing, but they say it feels more like the Bold than it does like the more recent ones.
That'd be good.
And that would be nice, because the bloody Q10, it was just such a squishy keyboard, it didn't feel like one.
Yeah, the Bold was my last BlackBerry device.
It's peak BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this phone have a ball?
No.
Like the scroll? Like, no.
There's no nipple.
That was good.
No,
Scroll
it wasn't.
wheel? Yeah, with the mouse cursor on your
You know
little
how
tiny
many
screen.
people came to me with like BlackBerry Bolds and Pearls with that like button stopped working and like fell out because they dropped the phone.
Well,
Then you couldn't navigate through your phone.
they didn't have a cool belt clip holster with the magnetic flip on it, because that's how you
guess
kept
not.
that baby safe. That's how you kept that baby safe. There was something else I had an interlude moment here, and now
it's gone.
It's gone. Let's move on to the next story.
Moment and the moment's gone.
Jeremy, tell me about this. Apparently, there's a refreshed rumor about an 8-core mainstream processor. This is coming from the Inquirer, who also heard they suggest a 22-core high-end model is a possibility. Are we looking at updated Skylake X or a new architecture on this?
We're looking at Truth in Advertising. They're going to call it Coffee Lake Refresh. Or at least, the code name behind the scenes that we all know, which is nice.
CLR, which is that really good cleaner that takes out the calcium, lime, and rust.
I didn't think of that, but now I love it. So how does that work as a heat spread? A good thermal paste, CLR?
Yeah, it'll dissolve your heat spreader, but sure, why not?
Limited time use.
shot.
Oh, yeah,
It would make it
PC
really
Watch
Weld
was
my
the-
copper and my zinc together.
Once you got them together, you'll never want to take them apart.
So, I mean,
But,
anything else stand out on that?
This is two
Yeah,
rumors.
Right.
So neither of these are set in stone, but I think, a Coffee Lake refresh with an 8-core it makes a lot of sense, especially with what Ryzen's doing. The one that doesn't make sense, which was a rumor about a PC watch, is a 22-core high-end desktop processor, which I personally find a very odd core count.
They have an 18.
Well, you don't need a 1 horsepower cooler to handle a 22 core versus a 28.
Well, don't say that.
Depends on the clock speed.
It does.
Depends on the clock speed. I don't. We had been hearing rumors about the 8-core. A lot of people expected 8-core Coffee Lake
At Computex.
at Computex with that Z390 chipset.
They
that's
released
been
the winner of an
released
8086K instead.
Yeah, it wasn't a great part. The 8-core never materialized, but everybody still assumes it's coming. We didn't have a news story on it yet, but there were the rumors, the leak of the Threadripper 2290X or 20.
Yeah.
Is that what they called it?
2990.
2990X, which was this 32-core. Some Cinebench numbers that came out. I don't remember what they were or if they matched up with what AMD had. They didn't show Cinebench before,
No,
did they? They didn't. But in those leaks, it also showed an 8-core, 16-thread Intel engineering sample part that didn't have a model number associated with it. And so now, of course, if you're Intel, you're like, okay, is AMD leaking these benchmarks, and how do they have this 8-core part that we didn't announce yet? And
Vice
or
versa.
if it's an overclocker that has this, how does he have these things yet? Or are we sending him stuff and he's getting these new Threadrippers? We should probably reevaluate that relationship somewhat. But interesting nonetheless. Do you think it's too late for an 8-core from Intel to matter?
No.
No,
It needs to. Yeah, I mean,
needs to be.
It needs to be here now.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, they have to say, look, we can do it.
they need to take away the advantage AMD has, right? Like AMD, the advantage they still have with the 2700X over the 8700K, besides a little bit of a price lead, is the fact that they have 2 more cores and 4 more threads. Take that away with the better single-threaded performance and don't charge $700 for it, and it would be a really good part. But we'll see about that.
I'd be even more impressed if they could throw a couple of extra PCIe lanes in there too.
Even if they don't do that, like it would still be the best gaming GPU by far.
Yeah. Mm. Did they have any time frame for these rumors or for these products that are rumored, Jeremy?
Well, I mean, they'll come out when they come out because none of these companies will admit to anything when these rumors start breaking.
Yeah.
So which one do you think we'd see first, Ryan? An 8-core or a Skylake X refresh? Like which refresh will come first?
8-core. I think it would be 8-core. Although that is the most difficult of them to offer because that's actually like a new chip, right? Because the 22-core, I believe, just exists as a Xeon already that you can rebrand.
I don't know if there's a Xeon W22 core or not. I'd have to look.
Yeah, maybe not because even the Apples stop at 18-core, right?
Yeah.
And the Xeon brand. Yeah. I still think it would be 8. I think that's where their margins, the other one, but that's where their volume is.
Yeah.
It's going to be with that
E5 2699 V4.
That's an old CPU.
Yeah, that's an old one, but it does have
that's a
cores.
Broadwell CPU.
Yeah, 2016.
Okay.
But there's not a Xeon W
equivalent. Yeah.
No, there's nothing newer than that coming up.
Yeah, Xeon W tops out at
I'd say
18.
8-core, and I think you're right. That's what the unfortunate thing for Intel, especially after the Computex no-show for it, like that's what everybody thought we were going to see. Like all the rumors, like, oh, this is going to be here. It's going to be this. Instead, we had the 28-core 5 gigahertz fiasco occur, right? And the 8086 launch that was also not
great.
well received. So we'll follow up more on that before we get to the next story. Another Patreon edition. It's an edit. Let me see how much. Okay, they went up more than $1, so I'll say it. They went from $3 to $4.20.
Blaze it.
Nice. From Mr. Poopy Butthole.
They live in Canada.
I feel like that's actually Josh. Just he wants to make things interesting.
I'm crass and I'm lowbrow, but I'm.
For sure. Oh no, we know that. We know that.
Do you have any bad memories of Mr. Poopy Butthole?
This next story
I did work in the ER for 5-6 years.
Then
yes,
you would.
There are many. Yes.
Thank you for stopping. This next story is maybe one of my favorite things that's happened recently.
It's pretty good.
It's meaningless. It's juvenile, it's trolling, but it was pretty funny. So
it's also only available in the US, which is annoying.
Well, hey, we're the best, except for the tariff part. Intel had that contest for the Core i7-8086 where they were going to give away 8086 Core i7-8086, right? So they had this competition. Well, AMD set up their own deal where if you were one of the first 40 people accepted that won an 8086, you could trade in your 8086 and they would give you a Threadripper 1950X, a Ryzen Threadripper 1950X, which is a 16-core 32-thread processor. And they posted about it and hey, if you won, congratulations, now you can upgrade to like the real high performance part. And it's like I said, it's juvenile, but it was kind of funny. I chuckled when I saw that. And then Intel even responded to it, and actually, Jeremy, you linked to that here on this Inquirer post. So I'm gonna see if they have a screenshot of it. Nope. Here we go. So Intel responded with, hey, AMD Ryzen, if you wanted an Intel Core i7-8086 processor too, you could have just asked us. Thanks for helping us celebrate the 8086.
I don't think that's true. I think if they asked for one, they wouldn't.
I don't think they would either.
They would have gotten the double finger.
Yeah.
Rick from the Young Ones type.
I did see several media Twitter people say this is a good way for AMD to source 40, testing samples for them to have on site of the Core i7-8086 as well, rather than going out and buying them. But
It'd actually be pretty unfortunate if you were one of these winners and you wanted to swap your thing, because it's like a 4 to 8 week lead time to get the 8086K from Intel, and then there's like another 6 to 8 week lead time to get the 1950X. So by the time you get the 1950X, it'll be an old processor.
So in 4 months from now, you can have
but it's still 16 core, 32 thread.
Yeah. And a more expensive motherboard.
So if you look at retail price of these processors, AMD's giving you about a $900 part for the cost of a $450 part.
Not shabby.
It's pretty good. And like I said, it's pretty fun. I'm sure if you're Intel, you're both ha ha ha, good job, and then you're flicking them off when they turn around, type of thing, right?
Yeah,
like
good
it's
job,
it's one of those asshole moves. But it is stereotypical, very very typical internet trolling type of thing. So
entertaining from all sides.
Yeah. What else we have? Alienware in the news, kind of, I guess, on this one, Jeremy. What are we looking at here? This was a story over at Digitimes, kind of looking at, I guess, market share of some of these system builders.
Dude, a whole bunch of people got Dells.
Didn't this? Yeah, that guy go to jail or
It's
something.
the guy.
Yeah. That guy went to jail.
Yes, he did, and not soon enough. So far this year, ASUS
he
and
was
MSI.
only busted for marijuana. He didn't actually serve any time.
Oh, I thought it was something worse than that. I forgot.
He got caught with some dope.
Yeah.
Other
Not
than
just
he
a
has,
dope system.
bad taste and did off Broadway stuff.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
So if you pick up a gaming laptop, chances are it's going to be either ASUS or MSI. And over 1 million people or 2 million people chose that. But the thing is that Dell, which is usually floating around 100, 150K, hit 500K of units already sold. And Lenovo is being a little cagey, but is probably along those same lines, which is, a huge chunk of the market that used to be going to the two big players.
And this is gaming notebooks specifically, I'm sorry?
Yeah, this is specifically gaming laptops.
Okay.
And so not even just business laptops, they're gaming brands. And I mean, part of the reason that it's been so lucrative for the last, say, 18 months is because, well, you could pick up a decent gaming laptop or you could buy a GPU. Yeah. Roughly about the same price. So the market got pretty big. This is going to change because thankfully GPUs are a little more sane nowadays. But in the meantime, Lenovo, Dell, and HP have looked and said, you know what, there's a market here. But $1,000 to $1,200, and people are buying them left, right, and center. So maybe we'll see some competition here, and some of those margins, which are admittedly already narrow, might get narrowed down a little bit more, so they don't jack up the price by $300 because you want an M.2. Hopefully.
The Dell one's interesting, and I assume they include Alienware in that group as well. Yeah. The Dell gaming, like Inspiron gaming series, G series.
Yeah.
That's fairly new though, right?
That's
probably not included in that, but I would expect this number for Dell to actually increase.
I mean, they have had the sub $1,000 Dell Inspiron 15 gaming 7000 series notebooks for a couple of years now, which we've reviewed the past few iterations of them, and they've been really good machines. I think they sold a decent amount of them, but I think Jeremy's right about the momentum, the pent up demand for gaming computers, just kind of going into the laptop realm.
Interesting stuff. I would not have expected Lenovo to be that huge in the space. Yeah.
Well, I'm betting that not a lot of that's in North America markets.
Yeah. I think the Legion brand is big in Asia.
Yeah.
As opposed to over here where you barely see it.
Yeah. I mean, we see.
You don't want to know something terrible? Truly terrible.
Yeah.
He last appeared in a Dell commercial 15 years ago.
That might be like later than I would have guessed.
2000 to 2003.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, Josh, 2 of the people commenting knew that. It's not just us.
That's in 2003.
I'm feeling old.
The golden age for the Dell pump and dump cheap ass.
I mean,
Inspiron.
It's also not mutually exclusive. Like, you are still getting old, but like
by the minute, yes.
Yeah, that's how that works, I think.
I'm still looking forward to when I can post a picture of the old box with the cow pattern on it.
Those were
You don't
good.
hear about them anymore.
The gateways were good times.
Yep.
We had a gateway store on Mall Road here. I think it's a mattress store now.
Probably more effective.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. This story also, Jeremy wrote, you were covering a news story from our buddy Kyle at Hard OCP, where they were revisiting older games, which were tough on the GPUs of that time, to kind of see how they handled newer cards, higher resolutions. Metro 2033, which had PhysX in it, of course, was on that list. Tomb Raider as well. What kind of results did we see? Oh, it looks like Crysis.
Crysis 3 is what that is.
Crysis 3
is what they went with.
Man, I benchmarked that game so many damn times.
It had to
That's how I
render
knew
all
the
water,
settings
remember?
menu from the photo.
Let's click over here to Kyle's story.
No,
So
that was Crysis 2 that did the water table tessellation.
Oh, I thought it was 3.
No, it was. I think it was 2.
all right, what did we come up with, Jeremy? What were kind of their conclusions here?
Well, if you've got a 1080 Ti or in most cases a Vega 64, you can come back to these games, crank everything up to maximum at 1440p and probably at 4K and take a look at it, because it's guaranteed that back in the day, unless you had a pair of Titans, you didn't even crank everything up to maximum at 1080p.
Wow, Crysis 3 at 4K
It's still a demanding title.
is 55
Oh, it is.
frames per second. Yeah, on the 1080 Ti.
The Metro ones were the big ones. Last
Did
Light
he-
more so than
Did
2033.
he test the Redux versions of both Metro games? Because it kind of had those re-releases, both of them, I think.
Did it change any of the tech in it or
I
something?
think
No.
it did.
I think so.
I thought it
So
changed the
Metro
engine a little bit.
2033 doesn't say that. So maybe they were using the originals for accuracy.
If they don't say
sake.
Redux, and it's the originals.
4K 1080 Ti hit 48 frames per second. Again, with advanced depth of field and tessellation turned on. Again, these are max settings essentially.
So, but it shows that these games, when they first came out, were so far beyond the hardware of the time that it's just impressive. And a lot of them, once you crank it up, still look good to this day,
Jeez.
which is, something I miss from.
I can't really
the old
think of a
day.
title like that right now.
There isn't one.
I mean, Star Citizen, but that's another reason.
Susuna's Sacrifice, maybe.
No.
Senwa. No, that
Sorry,
runs at
Senwa's.
60.
I just fired it up and realized that I need to do a
Is
lot to my
GTA
1080.
5 that?
GTA 5 CPU bound more than anything. It's just not. Yeah.
Is there what game is the most GPU bound today? I think a lot of the fact that consoles are higher performance now allows them to not have to.
Yeah. I'm sure
push
there's
one or
one
the
we're
other,
not
but
thinking
Maybe
about.
FC5.
No, not really.
It's more CPU
We
or
were
no?
running.
It's
We can do 1080. We are doing Vega 64, 1080p at 90 FPS.
yeah. I'm thinking about how for the CPU benchmarks we do a 1080 Ti at 1080p, and every game we get above 60. I think max settings. I always do the maxed out 1080p on that stuff, and some games are getting 150 frames a second.
Is that good or bad that we don't have those games anymore?
That's bad.
I would consider it bad. I mean, okay. I don't believe that games have stopped looking better as
Correct.
well. If
I
you
think
look
the
at
software has improved dramatically over
Yeah.
the past 7 years.
I think the focus on optimization has gotten better as well.
I mean, the fact that Crysis 3, you couldn't play Crysis 3 on hardware at the time at max settings doesn't help anyone. Right? No one's going back and playing Crysis 3, really.
It didn't. No, you're right. It doesn't. Fundamentally, having settings in a game engine that nobody can run is not inherently useful, except as a stress test benchmark mentality of things, which we appreciate, and I think a lot of the people who watch and listen to this show appreciate. But
I think AMD and NVIDIA appreciate it as well, because
they love to sell GPUs.
If your mid-range can do everything except not one or two settings not at maximum, why am I buying the top tier then?
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, we're really resolution bound now.
Yeah.
Need more ROPs. I'm kidding.
But
everyone's pushing higher resolutions, whereas
And I think back then, what did you say, 2013?
Yeah.
In 2010?
I mean, we were doing that.
We were going to
Crysis 3.
to 25 by 14. That was the kind of the push.
Yeah.
In 2010. But I will say that, you look at Crysis. For some reason in the last couple of years, I played Crysis 3 again.
It's still a great looking game.
And it still looks amazing.
Yeah.
I just finished it last week. It had been sitting there. I just hadn't played it for forever, and I just suddenly realized, I should fire this up.
But like Far Cry 5, Assassin's Creed Origins, those games do look better. Like, Crysis has the benefit of being sci-fi, so a lot of that stuff is good. But like, if you look at the facial animation, the character animation, it's great. You look at Far Cry 5, it's very good. What's one of the other games that?
I mean, we were playing Destiny the other day.
Destiny still looks fantastic.
Destiny 2 looks great for as fast as it runs on even mediocre hardware.
And I think that's kind of where the shift goes.
Really, really well. Like you can play that on a lot of integrated graphics. It'll be an awful
my kid
dynamic
plays
resolution.
that on a 1050.
Yeah.
GTX 1050, not even a TI, and it still looks good.
It's dynamic resolutions, which were implemented for the consoles that have passed down to PC gaming.
Yeah,
in some respects.
And that's sort of the funny thing is that right now you're actually looking more at upgrading your monitor than your graphics card. Mm-hmm. Because Far Cry 5 does wonderful HDR, but I've got an awesome video card and standard dynamic ratio monitors.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get rid of these 1920 by 1200 monitors from 2006.
Ryan and I were just discussing today how many.
It's this one thing, it's like, can you find everything that you want right now for a reasonable price? It's like, no.
Okay,
so why should I upgrade? Well, because I'm poor and I'm dumb.
So I have two 30-inch. Look up what year those came out.
Yeah. Are they the Dell?
No, they're the Apple Cinema Display CFL backlights, right? And they're 25 by 16. And I get away with that because I don't game on that machine, right? I do productivity and I try to be, productive, I guess.
I still have the back in 2009 when we bought the 3008. WCF, I think, from Dell. Mm-hmm. That's still on my main graphics test machine because it's 2560 by 1600.
It looks like those came out in 2010, Ryan, but that seems later.
I don't think that's true.
No, they were discontinued in 2010.
Okay, that sounds better.
That's better.
June 28th, 2004 is when that.
So 2004 is when those monitors started being manufactured, and I've had to replace the power supply on them twice.
Oh, they whine.
They take a little while to warm up every morning when I wake up the PC.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a matching Apple one and a Dell one on my desk as well.
I want a 32-inch 4K HDR screen. I want two of them. There you go. Like that's what I want, and we're getting really close to getting there.
So you're going to pretend like in racing games you're an F1 driver with a big thing right in the middle?
No, I'll just game on one display.
Fine.
The two displays is really just the productivity aspect of it.
The game on one, you have your Slack and your whatever Discord and all that stuff on the other one.
I could go to 3 HDR 32-inch screens, Josh, but I didn't want to be greedy about it. I didn't want to. You
don't want to show off.
Yeah, exactly.
Look what my credit card can handle. Yeah.
Go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say that you're starting to get too big. You go
32?
3 by 32s is too big. I have a 30 and two 24s with the 24s rotated, and that's like 2 inches too much.
Yeah, I have an issue with my 230s where I don't really know where I want to put the keyboard.
They take up the entire desk.
Yep. They do. Whatever. Desk space, whatever. You can deal with that. But like, depending on which, like if I'm focusing on a Word document that's on the left side of one of the left monitor or the right side of the right monitor, I feel like I physically have to shift my body. Move the keyboard over one way or the other. Yeah. That's kind of problematic, but
I still love my 3 monitors because I've got what I'm writing in one spot. I've got IRC and whatever, and then another in a Word document. Then I got the PDF of the crap that I'm supposed to be writing about on the other one, and everything works great.
You right?
And I can edit while I'm doing edit photos on one while I'm uploading to the side on another, and then people are yelling me on the third.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very important part. The people yelling.
People yelling at you. And then you have that rear monitor, which is actually your wife yelling at you from the other room.
You've met my wife?
So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's interesting of Kyle and Brent to go back and look at some of the older titles and stuff.
We kind of blew our load on the next story.
It's kind of, well, I find it interesting that this kind of is telling. It's telling of like there's not a whole lot to look at currently. If your goal
not
is
in the GPU space,
no games coming out, 2010 games,
no graphics cards coming out.
Speaking of which, let's get to the Samsung C32 HD70, which is it's a Samsung monitor. It's a 1440p, 32-inch, 144 hertz, curved VA panel. That is this an HDR screen as well?
Yes, it's FreeSync 2 HDR.
It wasn't branded in that until yesterday. Now it is a FreeSync 2 HDR panel. Is this one that Otto was telling us about today and yesterday? Okay.
I think we're going to get one of these in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Take a look at.
So, Jeremy, did Guru 3D guys have anything in particular to say about this display? Clearly, they're running the Far Cry 5 benchmark I see in that particular screenshot.
Yep. They really, really liked it. They thought that the implementation was just about perfect for the initial release of what is now FreeSync 2 HDR. Mm-hmm. It's backwards compatible, and it had one interesting feature, which is standard FreeSync mode, where your dynamic resolution goes between 120 to 144 hertz. If you find you've got tearing issues on the ultimate FreeSync, which is between 48 to 144 hertz.
What was the first range again?
120 to 144.
Wow.
Yeah. So it limits it down if for whatever reason your system is experiencing tearing because the dynamic range is jumping too much.
Well, 120 to 144 is a tiny range.
Mm-hmm. It is, but compared to like what you guys saw when it first arrived, you saw pretty nasty tearing.
Well, I mean, you would see that on that if you ever drop below 120 frames per second, because you can't do LFC, low frame rate compensation, in that range. You can on the, what'd you say, 48 to 144? To 144?
Yeah.
You can do LFC on that so that if you drop below it. Do they say what changes, what other thing changes when you move between those FreeSync ranges?
That is essentially it. It's just a little OSD.
There has to be something
switch.
else. Otherwise, you would only ever be in the larger range, right? My guess is that there is a color quality or bitrate change or something like that occurs. Because
I'm trying to see.
There would literally be no reason for you to not ever be in the 48 to 144 range. If you
could have something that's causing tearing. Like you could have a card that isn't quite doing it.
Well, no, if you had 48 to 144, you'd have LFC and you would never see tearing.
Right.
Well, unless you went above 144.
Unless you go above 144. But in the 120 to 144, you'd be in the exact same situation on the high side, but everything below 120 would be tearing. I
believe the other thing is that the standard supports HDMI, whereas if you want the ultimate, you have to use DisplayPort.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen some of that in the past with FreeSync displays. That might be it.
That could be the difference then. So DisplayPort supports the wider range.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because the HDMI part's still a hack-on add-on, right? It's not actually part of the spec until 2.1 comes out.
Yeah.
That could be it. Well, what's the price on that display? Did they say?
I was just flipping through. I think it's around $500.
Okay. It's pretty good, and if it's actually rated as a FreeSync 2 HDR monitor, that means it's going to be display HDR 600 certified or above, which is pretty good. Better than the couple of monitors we've seen here, which have been like 400 or not rated at all.
Yeah.
But under what the max brightness level of the ASUS and Acer G-Sync HDR panels will be. So I am interested to get this monitor in and kind of see how it compares to those G-Sync HDR screens. but this is bigger. It's funny. It's a bigger screen, but a lower resolution. Same refresh rate, but it's VA instead of IPS. Or
IPS.
So yeah, 549 on that particular monitor. So,
and it does come with another fun benefit.
What's that?
You need to start looking for firmware updates for your monitors nowadays.
Yeah.
Be aware of this.
Yeah. That actually leads well into.
No, it does not.
It does,
Because I've got to interrupt one thing. Apparently, I've been notified that Kingdom Come Deliverance at 4K on a high-end system is maybe pushing 40 frames per second.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, fine. You're interrupting.
You guys
me.
ought to get that and test it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Which leads so we'll cut that part out. Which leads nicely into the picks of the week, and my first pick of the week, which is the Samsung. Does this have the Q6F? Is the series of TV?
It has 2018 on the box.
It literally says 2018 on the box. This is a QLED 4K UHD smart TV. It's $1,200. This is the 55-inch version. This also you should be looking for firmware updates for, Jeremy, as this firmware updates for this enables FreeSync support. So they're not calling it FreeSync to HDR. It's just FreeSync at this point.
It's not actually HDR?
Well, I'm getting some clarification on that. And I think it's because the TV FreeSync stuff was being branded before they had made the decision to change the brand.
And this TV isn't going to be displayed HDR 600 certified because it's a monitor certification. It's not a TV certification.
It's not. I thought it was just a general display certification.
But no monitors go through it. Or no TVs
go through it. Well, it needs to. So to be FreeSync to HDR, you have to be at that quality level or above. I don't think you have to have that specific certification. You just have to be at that level or above. But that's up to AMD on whether or not they're going to go through that process themselves. But this TV will support FreeSync in 2 modes. At 4K, it will do 48 to 60 hertz FreeSync, which is good, but does not support LFC, right? So your typical kind of FreeSync 4K range issue. But if you do 1080p, it will do 48 to 120 hertz, and then it will support LFC. So if you hook up a gaming PC to this, you can run it at 1080p up to 120 hertz. You get HDR, you get FreeSync capability on that. You can hook up your Xbox One and get FreeSync support as well built into it. I will say, having spent 2 days with this monitor thus far, like the menu system is obnoxious.
It's not as bad as some of the older TVs. I will say.
To enable it,
it's still
tell me the process of how you enable it.
Well, first you have to go to the settings menu, then go to the settings menu, then go down a couple of items, then go to like external device support, and then go to gaming mode, turn on gaming mode, and then go to additional options and turn on FreeSync in either basic or ultimate mode.
So like I said,
sounds like you've done this a few times.
You do that once, though, in theory.
Yeah, and it's also like they don't describe what ultimate versus basic means in the settings. And when you ask AMD, they're like, you need to ask Samsung about this. This is their product. I'm like, yeah, but that's a crappy answer because you're the one, it's your technology. You should be messaging it better. And they go, yeah, you're probably right. And then we go on from there. So we're still testing out. We're still screwing with it. There's some updates and driver things that have to occur. But the idea of variable refresh support, no tearing on the TV, both for your console where its usefulness right now I'd say is limited because of how console games are coded to either hit 30 flat or hit 60 flat, and the movement in between them is pretty rare. Whereas on a PC, that's obviously not the case. If you hook up a PC up to a giant 55-inch or 65-inch HDR TV, the FreeSync will definitely be a big advantage for that. So don't buy this TV now. Wait for us to spend some time with it and review it and come back to you with some specific answer. But there you go.
It's only $1,000 at Best Buy. Looks like the Amazon is a third-party seller, so it's jacked up a little bit.
Amazon.
Yeah, it's on clearance at Best. That's probably not the 2018 one.
Yeah.
This is confusing.
Yeah, TV model numbers are a pain in the ass. Jeremy, what do you got for me?
A nice fancy little fractal design case at just about half price. The larger one, Sebastian quite liked. Well, the Focus G Mini is, for a micro ATX, $50 Canadian. Why not?
It's a pretty good deal. In American dollars, that's like $30 or something like that, right? 35,
No.
something.
And you know what my favorite thing about it is?
What's that?
No RGBs.
Wait, yeah, there is. Look,
It has a white LED.
It has
fan.
LEDs, but not RGB
That's
LEDs.
neither an
Okay.
R, a G, nor a B.
No, it's all of those.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what happens?
That's not how LED mixtures work at all.
And 2 optical drive bays.
Ugh.
You
Throw it
know
in the
it.
trash.
Oh man, yeah, it's worthless.
On a micro ATX, even better.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I called Fractal Design, Josh specifically from Fractal Design, and I said, you know what, you need more optical drives spaces. And he's like, you're absolutely
happened.
right, because you
Never
are a
happened.
leading voice in
You're
the
a
tech
liar.
community.
You're a liar. He lied like 3 times in that sentence,
Your name's not Josh.
in particular at the end.
Right.
What's your pick?
Me? It's going to be shocking. Shocking, I
I'm
know.
prepared to be shocked.
So here I am. I obviously envy Alan terribly.
Who we
All I
fired?
ever
You wanna
want
be
to
fired
do
too?
is
I
have
mean,
more and more storage and more hair growth than I typically have. But there are other things about Alan. I mean, like his love of Scirocco's and VWs. I simply don't understand. It's incomprehensible. However, storage. From Mushkin, of all places, a Silicon Magic?
Silicon
SM.
Motion,
Silicon Motion
which doesn't
controller.
really make a whole lot of sense now that I think about it.
Oh, but it does.
I got an answer for
500
that.
gig NVMe, 2.6 gigabyte per second, and around 2 gigs writes. This is at 133, one of the cheapest, fastest NVMe drives that you can get. I mean, this is comparable, in fact, a little bit better than those BPX units that have been sub $200 for quite a while. The other one that Alan tested that was just by 2, it's about the same price as this and significantly slower. So this is a fantastic price for an NVMe drive, and nearly anybody could buy this. I mean, this is mainstream SATA 6 500 gig size, and you're 4 times faster than that, if not more.
Fair enough. I don't know what is happening. Why is it clicking things? I don't know. Ken, this is your turn. You speak of the
so I've been
words.
working with this motherboard for a little bit for kind of some upcoming testing and article. I went to Micro Center and we need a Z370 board. And I just kind of stood there and looked at the wall. And I went, I don't know. I guess I'll buy an ROG board. But what's the difference between all these ROG boards? As it turns out, not a whole hell of a lot until you get to like the Maximus Apex for the extreme overclocking that only has 2 DIMM slots. So I went with the cheapest one, and it's been a really, really solid motherboard. It's got a nice little red and black design there, about $150. All the features you could want from a Z370 board, dual M.2 slots. I don't know, it works. It works well. It's a motherboard.
156.
Yeah. Z370 has really come down, as it turns out.
And it's designed for battle and maximum performance and connectivity and speed.
I don't think it has RGBs.
That seems impossible.
There is one LED on the
Lies.
chipset. I don't know. I'll know it is. Wait, go up.
Wait, here?
Yeah, it's just a red
Look
logo.
at that eye.
It's just a red logo. It probably does have the RGB headers. I'm sure it does, but
Multiple
No.
fan headers.
Look at those single layer SATA 6.
yeah,
I
it's
haven't
a
ever
weird
seen
layout.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind
They're
of
not the double slots.
No, they're not. It's like they ran out of stuff to put on the motherboard.
PS2 port.
Yeah, I've had zero complaints. It's been a solid experience. It's just,
Cool.
you need to build a Coffee Lake system.
It does have RGB stickers, at least, right? So you can pick your color stickers. So we got that going for us at the very least. Let's see. Alex, did you put anything in here?
I did not.
Okay. All right.
Loser.
Well, we can end the show then. There we go. I wanted to make sure before we killed it off. Thanks everybody for joining us. PCPer.com/podcast is the URL you can go to. You'll find the show notes, links to all the stories we talked about, ways to subscribe to the show, YouTube video embeds, MP3 file downloads. All that is there. Thank you to everybody for joining us on the live stream. Thank you for everybody for listening to the show. Hope you find something useful out of it. We do have one more Patreon. Says they only edited their pledge from $5 to $5.50, so I don't. Usually it's like $1 minimum to get their fancy name read during the show, right?
You've already segued to it.
Huh?
You just got to do it.
Darth Malventano says, "I hear Josh gets joy from shocking floppies." So, I guess saying that out loud was worth 50 cents. Probably.
It's not really that scandalous, as it turns out.
But it's a very long phrase, though. It's a very long thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back next week with another episode, and see you later. Thanks everyone.